Hi, it's Amy with Just a Little Ink. I'm an independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up, celebrating the end almost of my 22nd year with Stampin' Up, one of the best decisions I ever made. And I'd love to chat with you if that's something you've considered. I've seen lots of changes since 2001, but what a great ride this has been. And so with that, I want to share with you a fun card. It's using one of our new online exclusives that have been available in the online store since the beginning of November here. So I'm going to go ahead and flip my camera and get started. In my seat and kind of showcasing right here kind of the products that I'm using. Keep my kind of things in the way a little bit. So I'm going to be using the Perfect Pairs stamp set. It was one of the stamp sets that came out in online exclusives that I just kind of was drawn to. I think because it's a little quirky, but talking about pairing things together. I'm also going to be using the Stylish Shapes dies. Now I will remind everyone who's watching that I keep mine on magnetic sheets. They do not come this way from Stampin' Up, but it's a great way to kind of keep them organized and keep them from getting lost. So I'm using some circles from that. I'm going to be using the adhesive backed sequins, heart sequins. So they're little gold metallic hearts in a couple different sizes. I think just two, might be three sizes. And you get, so it tells you how many, 120 of them in total. I'm also going to be using some real red cardstock, some basic white cardstock, and some of the Marbled Elegance Designer Series paper. So one side is more of a muted pattern, and they're in reds and pinks. And the other side is this marbled paper design with some gold accents, which I just really love. Anyway, so we're going to do a couple techniques with this. One of them is omitting or kind of piecing the pieces of the one stamp differently than what its orientation is. And the other is masking, which is one of the first techniques I actually shared as a demonstrator because it was new to me, but it's an old technique. But it's a fun way to make this set fun. And before I get going too much, I don't want to mistake that we've got a seasonal sale going on through tomorrow. So today is the 14th of November. Tomorrow is the 15th of November. So if you're catching this recording before the end of day on the 15th and you don't already have a demonstrator, I would love it if you would shop in my online store. There is a link in the description of this video. But all of the products, bundles, cardstock, inks, and designer series papers that are in the annual catalog, and they're noted in the online store under seasonal sale, so you don't have to even try to figure it out, but they're on sale up to 20% off, which is a great deal if you need to stock up on some of those basic supplies. So I'm just going to push this out of the way and we're going to get going at it. So I will start off also by saying I'm a part of a demonstrator tutorial collective, and this idea of the card, not the card itself, but the mechanism of it, came from a fellow Canadian demonstrator that I'm friends with and had met years ago, but she's also part of that collective, and I don't want to discount her work on this. Her name is Shauna. So with all of that said, let's get showing you what you need. So you need a piece of, I told you, designer series paper. You need a piece of cardstock, 8 inches instead of 8.5 by 5.5 inches. And so I'm going to score, if I remember my numbers, this could be fun. I may have to pull out a card and remember my numbers on that. So I may have to do that. Hold on just a sec while I kind of fussy it. Okay, we're going to come across here. I need to score at 1 inch and 1 1/4 inches. 1¼ inches. I don't want to cut it. That's this one. I'm going to grab the lighter of the blades and the score. And then I want to score at 5½. Should give me what I want. We'll see if I remembered those numbers right. That's what happens when you don't take notes. All right, so then I'm going to fold those over. You're going to fold it, if you don't know this, the bump be facing up toward you from when you've scored, you want to fold the cardstock over onto that, and that'll keep it from giving you that frayed edge that often happens. So I'm going to grab out my bone folder. I appreciate all of those who have already subscribed to my YouTube channel or have started following me on my Facebook page, Just a Little Ink. That's just very exciting, and I hope that I'm bringing you projects and inspiration. That's my goal. So I've got my piece folded over, so onto itself, it's a gate. I kind of look at this as a gate fold because it's coming from both sides, kind of like a gate would open and shut. It's just offset. And I'm going to put my larger portion at the top, though I have done this flipped, so it can go either way depending on what you're sliding. So this is a sliding latch card. I didn't mention that at the beginning. Then I'm going to go ahead, I've already cut my paper. But if you hadn't, you're going to cut a piece that is 3¼ inches tall by 5¼ inches wide, and then cut off an inch along that 3¼ side so that you're ending up with two pieces, one that's an inch and one that's 2¼ And then I'm going to put those pieces, coordinating where they are, using my trusty Stampin' Seal. Are you a Stampin' Seal lover, or do you have a different adhesive that you really like? I'd love to hear that in the comments. I'd also love to hear if you've taken advantage of the online exclusives or not, and if you have, what your favorite piece is, or maybe you just have it on a wish list. I'm loving that Stampin' Up! Is coming out with new products a little more regularly. It's kind of fun. So I've got one on the bottom. I'm going to go ahead and attach them along. Get that out of the way for the moment. Okay, and you don't, if your paper isn't as coordinated, this one I thought was important that they, you don't see the pattern differently than what it comes out at, but I mean, it really may not matter. So I've got like that, and then I'm going to go ahead and attach my inside piece. If you're a little worried about what will stamp on here, you could just put temporary adhesive down so that you have an option of twisting it. But this is a photopolymer stamp, so I'm not real worried about lining it up. That's normally where the concerns come. So I'm going to put this on the inside just like you would any gatefold card. Okay. And like so. Okay, then I'm going to, that's the basic card. Then you need these two pieces. One's a circle for the inside, and then this is for the outside. And I'm going to go ahead, we're going to decorate on the basic white. It's a little hard to see, but I have cut these. So one piece is 2½, the other is 3 by 3, 2½ by 2½, 3 by 3. And they're cut from the stylish shaped circles. Second to the largest and the third to the largest. So that's how I did those. You could use punches. You could use squares for that matter. This has just been done with the circles. So I'm going to open up my stamp set, and I'm going to grab my cookie. And so you could choose to do this however you want, but I want my cookie to be the most forward. So when you're masking something, I'm going to kind of step you through how this works. So I'm going to be using Stampin' Blends, and so I'm going to use my Tuxedo Black Memento ink. And I'm going to place my cookie where I'd like it on the front of my circle. I'm going to put mine a little low here. Gives me a little more room for my greetings. Okay, hold it for a second to let that ink penetrate into the surface of the cardstock. Then I'm going to do that again on some of our masking paper. Masking paper is really thin. It's thinner even than a Post-it note. You can use a Post-it note to do masking, but I have found that our masking paper really is a good option. And so you're going to stamp it onto the masking side. You want it on the side that's not shiny. If you stamp it on the other side that's got a little bit of a glaze to it, you're going to smear your ink. Doesn't even, well, unless maybe if you were using permanent ink. And so, with that, making kind of a noise here, I'm going to grab my scissors, my paper snips, and you would cut around, and I'm not going to do all of it because I have one already cut out. So you're going to cut around it. And then you will peel off. I'll just kind of come here. Then you would peel off the backing, and sometimes it takes a little bit of work. You can use your paper snips to kind of lift that edge off. Kind of see if I can do a little of it just to kind of show you. I won't pull the whole thing off, but I find when you're doing these smaller pieces sometimes, there we go, you can kind of use your scissors, the pointy end on it, to get it peeled off. And then you'll reveal the sticky on the back. You're going to want to press it on your finger or on your skin a little bit to take just a little bit of that sticky off, because it can stick too hard. So that's the other tip I'm going to have. So I've got that. I already have my cookie here cut out. I've already kind of taken some of that sticky off. And I'm going to line it back up, covering up the cookie I stamped on the cardstock. Push it just a little bit. You don't want to push it too hard, or it's going to stick so hard onto the cardstock that it pulls off some of the fibers, and you don't want that. Then I'm going to take my milk, because you know cookies and milk, they go together. And let's see if I get this on my block big enough. Then I'm going to grab out, because I thought I was done, but I'm not. I'm going to grab out my Memento ink again and ink up that milk container and line up how I'd like my milk and my cookie to be on the front of my card here. So hold it for a second again, lift it off. I will clean my blocks in a little bit. I'm going to be done with Memento ink now. And I can then pull this off, and these can get reused a number of times. So you can keep it. I tend to take and stick it on the inside of my stamp case. So now I have my milk and my cookie, and we'll color those. But before we do so, I'm going to grab out the You Complete Me stamp. It's easier to see it on the label. The You Complete Me, which goes across, but I don't want it across. What I want to do is use it split up. So I want to take my marker. So I've got a basic black marker. It's our only marker from our Stampin' Write markers that you can buy individually. You want to use the brush tip end. So I'm going to open it up. And what I found worked really well was to actually kind of go in reverse. So you're going to look at it. You're going to use the brush tip along the side. And I'm going to ink up Just Complete. So I'm lining up. Hopefully you'll see what I'm working on here. And all of these techniques are really pretty basic techniques, but I don't know about you, but I often forget them. So I think that makes kind of a cute thing. So then breathe on it just to remoisten. And then what I found was that let me know kind of where I wanted to center that.
So again, hold it, lift it off. Then you are going to need to clean your block, or your block, but you're going to have to clean it with your Simply Chamois, or the chamois that came with your, that's what this one is one that came with my glass mat. And then I found it's helpful to stamp it off onto a scrap piece of paper, just so you know that you don't have other ink on there. Okay, so use that. And then I can go back and get just the U. And I'm going to repeat that same process. Yeah, I thought I was. And then I'm going to put U above complete. We'll do a second. It's a little watery. So I'm going to dry it on some jeans. Ever use your pants for things? Okay. And then I'm going to grab Me. And it's a way to use these long stamps in a different way than they were envisioned by Stampin' Up, and that's not a bad thing. It helps you be creative. So I'm going to put that one down over here. So there we go. Can just get that out of the way. As I said, you can do it later. So that stamped my greeting, and I'm going to go ahead and then color it. And the colors I'm using, I liked Real Red because it coordinated with my paper. On the straw, that gives a little bit of color. You don't need to use it much. You know, Stampin' Blends will blend, so they pull over because they're an alcohol marker. And so I'm just needing to tap just very lightly on that tiny space. And then I could make my chocolate chips. To me, that's chocolate chips in a different color, but I don't want to do that. I'm going to use, let me pull that one out first. I'm going to use, it's the dark, it's a number 100. It's the darkest of our skin tones, our neutral sets of Stampin' Blends. And I'll have all these products listed in the description so that you can just find them if you're looking for something specific. So I'm going to color in those chocolate chips, my heart chocolate chips, in that color. I wanted a dark brown. Then I'm going to use the bronze. When we first got Stampin' Blends in Stampin' Up! Colors, bronze and ivory were the only neutrals we had. And so, but I liked this color for the cookie. So I'm using the bronze, and I'm just going to color and swirl it around and around. It's very simple. This is simple coloring. But I like that the blends don't leave lines when you're coloring. So I'm kind of showing you both types of markers and different ways to use them. Just kind of fun. I grab around here, and this gives just enough color on the front of my card. And we'll add some other things here in a moment. But at the moment, get this part ready. Make it as fast as we can so you don't have to wait on me. You could add, there are other greetings on here. There's other greetings. There's also a little cow you could stick on the milk jug. You can also stick a little smiley face on things. It's kind of fun. So, but we're done with the stamp set at this point. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I decided how to use this little square here. I've got my ruler. I'm going to pull out my ruler just because I'm kind of anal. Yeah, I am anal. Kind of would be an understatement. And so I'm going to use my pencil. And I know that this circle is at 2 1/8 inches. So I'm going to come into what about the center is, which means I'm doing this at 1 1/16 and putting just a mark. Okay. Then I'm going to turn it, and I'm going to do the same thing so that I know kind of where this other side is. Again, about here. So then I know
this is my center mark. And for me, this was helpful because then I know how to line up. And like I said, I just kind of anal that way. You'll need some Stampin' Dimensionals. I thought this was such a great technique to line this up. So you're going to put it in here in the center. So put the small circle inside, shut your, I'll raise it closer to the camera so you can kind of see it. So do you see now why I wanted this mark on it? Get it close enough that you can kind of see. I want to be able to line up my dimensionals as close to center as I can. And so I'm going to hold the flaps closed, and I'm going to get a dimensional to stick right in the middle there. That's close to middle. And then I'm going to set a couple more right next to it. So I have thumbs today. You ever feel like you have thumbs for fingers? So like so, I've got 3 of them set across, and then I'm going to take off these while I'm holding down my circle. And then I've got the one that's going to go on the top, which is my finished piece, and I'm just going to center it. So you don't have to be exact, you just want it close to center. So I've got it lined up, I want it straight, and that creates that latch, which I thought was so fun, and it slides, which is kind of also fun. And hopefully your recipient realizes that it doesn't wiggle too much, it wiggles a little. So you've got that, and now you have this space here that you can put another greeting on. And I loved that I could have perfect pair. You complete me, perfect pair. So with that, I'm going to grab my block again, line it up, and then use my real red ink because I'm using real red cardstock. Again, I have an older style real red pad. Right now is a great time to be upgrading any inks that you have. Keep in mind, if you have older ink pads like this one that I have, and you try to buy new refills if it gets dry, some of our formulations changed a few years ago, and you may find that that creates an issue. And so that's when I've been replacing mine. So I'm going to line it up here. Hold it for a second to let that saturate into the ink, or into the paper. Can't talk today. And we're almost done. So I've got a cute little Valentine card that I think is just adorable. But remember, we have these little sequins, and they are so fun. I use my Take Your Pick tool. You could use the pokey end. I've seen people do it this way. So it's up to you how you want to pull those off. You can use your scissor. I want to take and put a small one down here because I think it's kind of cute to have a heart here. And then you can scatter them other places, which is kind of the fun part. So I'm going to grab a larger one and stick it maybe, I don't know, maybe over here. And then you can take some smaller ones. You want to use at least 3. You want them to be odd numbers. You could use 5, you could use 7. I just like odd numbers for what I'm doing. But that is my completed card. And so with that, I thank you for joining me. Again, if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, I'd appreciate it if you would do so. Please like, share. I love to hear your comments, what you like, what you've seen, and what you're going to make. I'd love to see that as well. And so with that, I'm going to let you go, and we'll look forward to seeing you next Thursday. Have a great day.